All right, guys. Good morning. I have a Conan O'Brien thing going on. I'm going to talk to you a little bit this morning. I do have editorials coming. Maybe later today I'll get one out. Over the weekend I'll have a couple. But this morning is a discussion, and I'm going to try not to take too long on this. But it's reference a couple of members of the First Amendment audit community on YouTube. It's big news. And I'm going to try to stay neutral. I'm not going to take sides. I'm not judging these guys. I'm not criticizing them. I'm simply giving you a news story. I'm going to put a link to it in the description box below. It's pretty lengthy. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to try to go through all of it, but I'm not going to read all of it like I'm reading a newspaper. I'm going to paraphrase much of it. But I learned something here. In this story, there's two penal codes I didn't really even think about that are out there. And you know, if there's a penal code law enforcement can use, they're going to use it. Just ask Al SoCal, who, by the way, was he just posted a video where he was addressing the Rialto PD, and they go, "Your bike needs a light. It's dark out. It's nighttime." Simply because he was recording them and talking to them. Well, it's true. There is a California vehicle code that your bicycle has to have a light at night, but that was retaliation. Come on. Anyway, so they detained him for that, and there's a video on that. But that's what I'm saying is, if there's a penal code or a California vehicle code here in California, they're going to get you. Other states as well. Yeah, I'm going to cough a little bit. I have an allergy going on. And I have a lot of congestion. I've tried everything I could think of. Wife even rubs that grandpa sauce on me. You know, that old Vicks. Where you're like, ooh, vapor. This comes to us from hometownstation.com out of Santa Clarita. Hometown Station out of Santa Clarita. And wow. Now, what they were doing is legal on a sidewalk, but is all they were doing legal? Look at a couple penal codes that might question that. You're probably wondering who I'm talking about. Anti-religious harassment for profit hits the Santa Clarita Valley. That's the title of this. And they talk about how it was Sunday. Hint, hint. You should already know who it is. Parents were arriving with their children to church. There was some final Sabbath remarks. And suddenly, Sunday school teachers who were greeting their children were also greeted with masked cameramen dressed in all black. And as people were arriving to church to take pictures and whatnot, they hear, "F you, Karen," hollers one cameraman in a black mask. He gives the Sunday school teacher the middle finger and takes a picture of her license plate. His associate, another cameraman dressed in all black, except a skull-faced biker mask, hollers Allah Ali Akbar as he stops a car and films the VIN number on the dash through the windshield while waving military signals to others. Supposedly they were hiding in the bushes. Now, the pastor runs out to see what the commotion is, but the cameramen refuse to identify themselves as they harass and intimidate cars coming into the parking lot, snapping photos of the drivers and their license plates while hurling insults. Afraid the church is under some type of attack, that some violent protest is about to happen, the pastor calls the police and orders the church on lockdown. So instead of just doing a First Amendment audit, these guys have now created a situation where the church is ordered on lockdown and they call the police. Now, again, I'm trying to stay neutral. I'm not taking sides. I'm just giving you some things to chew on here, to think about, to conversate about in the comment section below. Okay, so they're allowed to do, so these people were being Karens. Okay, oh my God, they're put the church on lockdown. There's two guys with cameras on the sidewalk. Yes, that's what you would say. Some would say that. But remember, they're running up to the cars and recording the VIN number. They're yelling, Ali, Ali Akbar, and, flipping people off. As one of the cameramen tries to take a picture of some children, their father pushes the camera away. The cameraman sprays him in the face with pepper spray, claiming to be the victim of assault. By now, the police arrive and the father is in handcuffs. I think that's the one we saw. While the cameramen gleefully film from the public sidewalk. And they say here in the article they'll make about $2,000 from this video. You don't really know that. Ad revenue is hard to gauge how much you'll make. But they'll make some money from from Google. And they talk about it being a First Amendment audit. But they said there's nothing you can do about it. And then they put a question mark, or is there? 2 penal codes. We're going to get to them. So they said these suspicious and intimidating cameramen descended upon 3 Santa Clarita churches, harassing and intimidating worshipers. Remember that statement. Gathering in front of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on McBean Parkway. Not cool. That's not cool. And later in North Valencia, the masked cameramen began hurling insults and profanities at church members trying to enter and exit the parking lot while filming the VIN numbers and license plates on the cars and that exited and entered the parking lot. One church member said it was really creepy and unnerving. I think it would be. They're not just recording. They're running up to the car and they're filming the VIN. One church member said, I was trying to drive out of the parking lot and this guy approached my vehicle, so I had to stop, and I began draping his camera over he began draping his camera over my windshield to film my VIN number on the dash. Then they call them BLM or Antifa protesters. There's some talk about that. The cameramen refuse to identify themselves, but upon investigation by Los Angeles County sheriffs and volunteers from the church, they were found to be Franklin, and I'm not going to dox him, but it's in the link below. You can see his whole name, of Santa Paula, also known as Pedolibre Audits on YouTube, and Jose Armando, and we know it's in the story below if you want to see the whole name, of La Puente, aka SGV News First, also on YouTube. My name's Jimmy. See, there you go. So now we all know each other. Both Frank and Jose in their videos claim their harassment is constitutionally protected First Amendment audits, and they are educating the public on the First Amendment. But to local churchgoers, they appear to be at best chaotic interruptions of worship and at worst anti-religious harassment for profit. We're going to get back to that. Don't tune away yet. Now, Frank was arrested in Santa Clarita on February 26, 2021 for disturbing the peace by offensive language. I'm going to get back to that too, or it's right here, I think. They talk about First Amendment auditing, and they say the content can range from funny to serious to non sequitur. And there are some funny First Amendment audits out there. There are some funny ones out there, but there's some ones out there that are very serious. Some auditors record humorous interactions as they walk into courthouse dressed like chickens. Have I seen that one before? I've seen Furry as the pig. While others see how far they can go into a police station without having to answer verbal questions before being detained legally. But this new breed of auditor going through Santa Clarita Valley seems to have crossed the line. They're talking about these guys right here. They crossed the line from First Amendment auditing to anti-religious harassment for profit when they started breaking the law, said Cardon Ellis, host of Problem Solver Politics on FM 98.1. Got to get that point one. Punto uno! I used to listen to a Spanish radio station and they would yell that. they'd say, punto uno, which is point one. And a witness to the events. Cardone Ellis, who's the host of Problem Solver Politics on FM 98.1, was there. He saw it. He said, I have nothing but respect for the First Amendment, and honestly, some of the content these First Amendment auditors create online can be really funny and start important conversations about our civil rights. But these guys, he's talking about these guys at Santa Clarita, crossed the line from protected free speech into religious harassment for profit when they began actively disrupting religious services and blocking traffic in and out of the church's parking lot. Religious minorities have constitutionally protected rights too. Now, the Los Angeles County Penal and Vehicle Code seems to agree with Ellis's assessment. I'm going to get to those two codes right here. Now, I said two penal codes, but I'm looking, one of them is actually a vehicle code. Now, CVC 21950 says in A, the driver of a vehicle shall yield the right of way to a pedestrian crossing the roadway within any marked crosswalk or within any unmarked crosswalk at an intersection, except as otherwise provided in the chapter. So let's say you got like a residential neighborhood and there's no crosswalks, but there's the two corners of the street and you go to cross, they have to let you cross. B, section B says this section does not relieve a pedestrian from the duty of using due care for his or her safety. No pedestrian may suddenly leave a curb or other place of safety and walk or run into the path of a vehicle that is so close as to constitute an immediate hazard. No pedestrian may unnecessarily stop or delay traffic while in a marked or unmarked crosswalk. So that little thing that some auditors do when there's a car coming and they start walking down the sidewalk and they go real slow. Pedestrians have the right of way, dude. Pedestrians have the right of way. And then they stop and turn in front of the car. I'm a pedestrian. I have the right of way. Huh? What? And then they go real slow. They are unnecessarily stopping or delaying that traffic. That could be considered a moving violation under the California Vehicle Code 21950, Section B. Bowlegs B, as they call it in the Army. So you think, well, look, I'm allowed to do this. You're not allowed to block or delay traffic unnecessarily. You can't step out in front of the cars and have them brake and go, I'm a pedestrian, dude. I got the right of way. Because you may have just violated a vehicle code. But then there's also the Penal Code, and we're going to go over that. It mentions it in the story, in the description box. Penal Code, California Penal Code, 302, Bowlegs A. Every person who intentionally disturbs or disquiets an assemblage of people met for religious worship at a tax-exempt place of worship, like a church, by profane discourse, rude or indecent behavior, or by any unnecessary noise, either within the place where the meeting is held, or so near it as to disturb the order and solemnity of the meeting, is guilty of a misdemeanor, punishable by a fine not exceeding $1,000 or by imprisonment in a county jail for a period not exceeding 1 year, or by both fine and imprisonment. You cannot go to a place of worship, in California anyway, and go to the meeting or so near it to disturb the order and solemnity of the meeting with profane discourse. F you, Karen, F you, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Flipping them off, making a whole bunch of noise at the church. It could be a misdemeanor under Penal Code 302. What's up with that? I didn't know about that. So although it may be free speech to stand on the sidewalk and film the church, sure, you can stand there and film it if you want. I don't know what you're getting out of a church for First Amendment audit, but praise the Lord. You can't be screaming profane discourse or flipping them off with rude and indecent behavior. Because of middle finger, people say, well, Jackson versus Jacksonville. Yeah, but flipping someone off in front of a church could be considered rude or indecent, or at least rude behavior. Because you know, if the cops can use this penal code, they will. But on that same coin, what's the point of standing in front of a church where people are going to worship and flipping people? Oh, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. Okay. So if I stand in front of you and curse you out and say you're a stupid, ignorant atheist, you're going to be like, well, that's not cool, man. But you can go to a church and flip people off because, hey, that's my free speech. But when people free speech you, it's like, oh, that's not cool, man. Okay. I guess. Now, one informer, I won't name him, his name's in the article, who follows Frank and Jose with a group of online volunteers, says according to public records, Franklin is currently out on a $75,000 bail in Los Angeles County, and in Ventura County, he would be in jail if not for the Judicial Diversion Program. Judicial diversion out of Ventura County is another controversial policy championed by Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gasson to decline prosecution on low-level crimes and misdemeanors. As part of his probation, or the diversion, he is not allowed to break any federal, state, or local laws. So if on his diversion program, the judge says, okay, while you're on diversion, you are not allowed to break any federal, state, or local laws. You understand me? He violated Penal Code 302 in front of a place of worship. He violated his diversion program and thus can be incarcerated for the remainder of whatever sentence he had. Oh, wow. You see how being a First Amendment auditor or even a cop watcher, there's a rabbit hole, so to speak, and you have to know what you're doing when you're out there. Just like when you become a politician. You know how some of these guys become president or senator and all of a sudden they're being investigated by the Senate Oversight Committee or what have you, and well, you violated this under federal law, you can't, and you're like, wow, really? How are they supposed to know all that? Yeah. I guess what I'm saying to make it simple is a lot of times I watch these politicians like senators or the president even getting investigated for things and I'm going, wow, like, I didn't even know you weren't supposed to do that. And it's not something that's an easy crime. It's like you used your campaign donation for this or that, or you got your campaign donation from this business and it was a violation of ethics in the, federal whatever. And I'm going, what the? And my point is, when you're an auditor or a cop watcher, it's the same way. You have to know, hey, I could be breaking the law here. Or you end up in court. Or in this guy's case, he may end up back in jail. I don't know. He's on diversion, cannot break any federal, state, or local laws, may have violated California Penal Code 302. Ooh, not good. It's not good. They even sent a letter to the school board of one of these guys' wives. Oh. One of their wives is part of the school board, and they sent a letter to the school board. And then they talk about Furry Potato and how Furry Potato went to a Jewish congregation and there was a shooting. Remember, the guard fired his gun. But they say if your congregation is harassed by these criminals, reach out to KHTS Newsroom and they'll get the information out. So I just wanted to take 30 minutes of your time to go through all of this. Hopefully you're still watching. But this is important to talk about. This is very important to talk about. Remember, CVC 21950 Bowlegs B and California Penal Code 302 Bowlegs A, because those are very important if you're doing First Amendment audits in California or if you're cop watching in California. Remember those ones. 302 Bowlegs A mostly talks about churches and places of worship, but 21950 Bowlegs B, remember guys, you can't just walk in front of a car and go, "Sorry dude, I'm a pedestrian. I'm going real slow." Because you could be violating a California vehicle code. And if they record you doing it and show it to the police, you may get a citation. What do all of you think? Let me know.